Hey there, Revit Land. We're going to start on Chapter 14, creating rooms and area plans, which is towards the end of the semester in chapters. And we're going to download the NER 14 file to start. Unless you want to start from previous chapters like we have in the past, go for that. But this is the clean restart file with a few things changed from Chapter 13. So we'll go right into that. On page 665, we're going to learn to create rooms, add room schedules, which build out spreadsheets, schedules of said rooms and all their properties, just like anything else in Revit. It's more automated. Then the third thing, we're going to learn how to add a color fill plan into our Revit project. And then after that, we're going to learn a little bit more about room separators and separating rooms, editing them. And the last thing in this chapter, which is a relatively short chapter, we're going to create an area plan. So rooms in Revit, long story short, we're going to start by going to level 1 east. Went to the wrong plan here. Level 1 east and not the furniture plan. Turn this off. So here are our room area panel options for much of this chapter, and we're going to be adding a few things in the annotate tab with some different things here that we haven't done before. So one thing with rooms, as we add them in Revit, it used to be a very manual process, and now, like many things Revit, it's much more automated to build out schedules, quantities, different things that make your project more complex. In an AutoCAD setting, it does make a lot more automation than it used to be. So with that, we're going to start on page 666, and we're going to add our first room tag in room on the architecture tab. This is a new command for us, and the room button right here. And at this point, we're going to start with this room. And Revit manually builds them up. We have our options of the room tag being built here already. We'll go into some of these properties, options within the properties later. We're just going to place our first room here. Hit escape. This one, I'm surprised it didn't go right to room 101, but it went to room 1. And all we're going to do is, like anything else, when we pick the spot, you should see the X, it's placed. So right now I'm selecting the room tag. This is kind of important. And if I hover on here, this is a good thing the book doesn't say much about, is I hit tab a few times. When I see that X, I can select the room. So this is selecting the room. This is selecting the room tag. If I hit tab a few more times. You can tell too by the properties, like usual. We're just going to change the name. All things blue are editable as usual. And we're going to change the number to 101. Now when you're adding rooms in Revit, it's inherent you're probably going to do some out of order. You're not going to like the way you did some of them as you build them out. There's plenty of ways to change them later. This book isn't going to dwell on that too much, but you can edit that in the schedule later. You're never going to get it perfect a lot of times in a complex building, so keep that in mind. A lot of this stuff is editable after the fact. So on page 668 now, we're going to keep adding rooms, and I'm not going to go too long with this because it'll get repetitive for you to watch me repeat it several times. We're just going to add more rooms, and generally we're going to go in a certain order. So you can see when the X comes in here after I pick the room command. Now I have modify place room going on. The X, you can align them like that, as you can see. That's helpful. Place that. Also align in the X and Y direction. We'll go here. We'll place our fourth one. We'll name them later. Line them up in both directions, X and Y, with other tags. And just for the sake of moving on here a little bit, we'll rename a couple of these right now. I like the order they're in already, so we'll leave that alone, but you can always go in and change that. Keep in mind, you can't have two of the same room numbers, so you might have to get creative in how you renumber one, maybe a higher number before you cascade back down. So keep that in mind. You can't have duplicates in rooms. And as you go through page 668 to 669 and all the way to the picture on 670, the final product, we're going to have you add many more names and name tags, which I'm going to skip ahead to that part in this other file here, which will start anew. And this is after I added many more name tags, got them to the numbering I want to see on page 670. So this is what your final level 1 east floor plan should look like. I forgot to mention that before, but it did say. That's where you put these tags first. This is the remainder of the spaces that we have here. We're going to go on to page 671. So one of the key things with rooms is configuring you can add to their properties which reflect what's inside of them, how they end up on schedules. Inside of every room, you can specify different room finishes, what type of ceiling, walls, floors, this and that and the other thing, which helps build out schedules later, which we'll see. So we're going to start by going to the southeast corner office 101, and we're going to select the room. So once again, I picked the tag here, and that doesn't really help that much by grabbing the tag. In this case, I want to actually grab the room. So I'm going to hover here again and hit tab a couple times until I see that X. Then I'm going to left data click. So now I have the room selected. You can see that here. My selection filter has one thing selected, which is what I want. And we're going to go to the properties box and put some properties in it in this room in this manner. Go to base finish. We're going to add one here. Once it in caps. WD1 ceiling finish, which is shorthand for a different type of finish. Basically, we've used these ACT ceilings before, for example. We'll just follow their instructions on this for now. They're all shorthand acronyms for something more built out in an abbreviation list for a project. These would be spelled out on like a cover sheet. They would actually say what these acronyms mean, so it's not just assumed by someone on a plan set. Typical with engineering plan sets, a lot of these acronyms on an abbreviation sheets, like a sheet 1 on a cover sheet like this, would be spelled out. Or, for example, if we go to plan sheet, which I'll let open for a second, that would be close to the cover sheet where we spell a lot of that stuff out. So, for example, let's go to the beginning of this plan set, and you have your sheet index here. We have a whole area of abbreviations here. So it spells out each one of these. So it's not assumed there's many things in a huge plan set like this. That's what I'm talking about. On a cover sheet, you'd have a lot of that stuff going on, along with legend of symbols and sheet index of your sheets in your plan. Anyway, back to the chapter. On page 672 now, we added those properties of just this room right here. And we're going to go to the east area. So we're basically, in this point, which is kind of key, we're going to apply some properties, say, to a multi-story room, which this one is. This one goes up 4 or 5 levels. So in this case, we're going to go change something different. This selected the floor, so I hit escape, hit tab a few more times till you see that X. Helps you select the room. That's the way I've been enjoying doing it. There might be other ways. We got that room selected, the east entry room 001, and we're going to go to the top here. We're going to say upper limit for that room, different entity than the walls and everything, right? We're going to say we want this room to go all the way to the roof, upper limit, and we want the limit offset to stay at 0, right at the roof. Okay. Basically, this is just a unique room with extra bounds that go through many floors. So that's what we're doing there. Going on to page 673, we're going to do some room bounding properties. So in some situations, you don't want a wall to separate a room, for example. Like, we're going to do this later. We're going to separate this room about this invisible middle reference plane, for example, in the chapter. So let's see what they have for us here in the east wing. Zoom into the laboratory area. And I'm going to look at the photo so I can get a better idea. Okay, so we're going to say this room here, for example, we auto-selected it. It only got this, but it didn't get this gap space area in here. So we're going to add more to the room. So let's just say, I'll show you what all the rooms I have created right now. If I do a pick box over all of them, not just the rooms, but everything, I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to turn everything off. I'm going to go just to the room entity. I have 21 of them right now. I'm going to say OK. They highlight. So I haven't done rooms in this kitchenette area yet. There's no room in this little gap chase area by the elevators. Probably could edit that later, but we're going to show you how to add these basically gap void spaces, water closet chest or space gap in the wall here in this entry alcove area to the laboratory on both men's and women's sides. So how do we do that? Let's see. Once us select the wall here. Select this wall. And the properties box, we have something new. So I have that wall, one wall selected. I can turn room bounding off. So it doesn't allow that to be bounded through there. So let's see what that means. I unselected that. Now let's grab this room. Let's hover over the tag, hit tab. Oop, grab the floor that time, tab again. Now the room is entirely this. So that's what I wanted. It's just saying these interior walls don't count into the building of the room. Let's do the same with this wall. Let's grab it for the women's and unclick room bounding. Let me hover over the women's lavatory room tag. Hit tab, floor twice. Now we got the room. We did the same there. So we're going to get on to page 674 and we're going to manipulate some room tags. So it's just a room tag's basically just a way to relay a room's data to the construction documents. Like I said, stuff, let's see, this plan set has a good example of that. It has a lot of stuff on this plan set, but I don't know if they named out rooms in this one. It would help name stuff in like a legend like this and a cover sheet about said room and what it entails. This plan set didn't really use it that much. They have a lot of cover sheets on this. So anyway, minimize that. And we're going to go to the southeast corner office again. And we're going to select this room tag. And there's different types of room tags. So up here in the type properties, we can say room tag with area or volume. We're going to select room tag with area. And it says the square footage, so the SF means the amount of square feet in that southwest corner office, for example. So we just changed the room type, is all there. Nothing too major. That's all it's trying to show us. We can also customize those a little bit. For example, we're going to select the room tag once again for this corner office. And we're not going to edit type here. I almost accidentally did this. This would be editing the type of the tag. Cancel there. We have it still selected. We're going to go to edit family. Now it'll open up the family separate RFA file. If you don't have it loaded, you might have to go load it from your families. It should be loaded. If I pick this edit label, I can edit it. Let's just say within this room tag type, I can add a whole bunch of other information here or append information. There's only so many things to choose here. You can probably make custom things, but this is just saying you could add more to room labels as needed, get really custom. So that's all it's trying to show you. We're going to exit this without loading into project or changing anything. We'll just say close. And I'm going to say, no, I don't want to change anything. It's just showing you how to edit those tags, those family tags. So that moves us into room schedules on page 676. So up to this point, a lot of this stuff has been added several times. You have to add it here, maybe on a ceiling plan, maybe also on another plan somewhere else, and then on a schedule like an Excel sheet. So a lot of this in Revit, the power of Revit is, everything's dynamically linked between schedules and rooms, and you don't have to edit in 4 places. You edit in one spot, which is much more efficient for time and much more efficient for errors, less errors. So we're going to start with a new command here. We're going to go, let's see, make sure I'm on the right floor plan to start this. I think I am. It doesn't say anything about which floor plan to be on, so I'm just going to assume to stay on the same one here. Go up here to level 1 east. Zoom out a little. We'll go to the view tab, and we're going to go to schedules, a new area here, schedule quantities. And we have a new schedule option. We have so many things, elements in Revit we could do schedules of, right? Tons. We're just going to choose, in this case, rooms. Typed R, went to R quick. And we're going to do schedule building components, leave this alone, new construction's fine. Hit OK. And now we're going to choose which components we want in this said schedule. So we're going to choose, looks like 9 different things going into page 677. Say name, go over. Actually, we want a number first. Number, then name. Type B, go up there, base finish. Type W, gets you down there. Wall finish, floor finish, wants the ceiling finish in the schedule, and it wants some random comments, wants the level of the building, over, and wants the area, the schedule. Now we're going to click the sorting grouping tab. It's easy to miss this. And I'm going to select this. What does it want? Sort by number. Okay. Sort by number. We're going to say grand totals. And we're going to click the formatting tab last. So we want the grand totals, everything on the bottom of the schedule is what it's saying, kind of like Excel summation. We'll click the area field on this. And where does that change? I'm going to say calculate totals for area right here. I believe that's the last one. So hit OK. It should take us to the schedule. It'll take a minute. We have our first schedule built. Now your picture is going to look a little weird on page 678. It's fine. 679 is weird. It has the kitchen in the break area, which we haven't created those rooms yet. So we haven't made those yet. So don't worry about that picture on 679. It's a mistake. All we're going to do here, instead of editing this in the properties like we did before when we selected that said room, remember we got these 4. We're going to edit it in the schedule now. And these schedules, this is kind of important, easy to miss, they populate down here. So this just populated way down here. So if I cascade everything in my project browser down, they're below my, let's say, architectural coordination. We'll have some coordination ones later we'll go to, but this is where they populate. This is where it's open. And we're going to go to one area or one cell area and go across. And we're going to go to East Entry. I'm just going to kind of mimic what they did here. But in this case, I'm going to type in WD2. That's going to be my new option for that. Wall finish, I'm just going to type in vinyl. Floor finish, I'm going to type in TER for terrazzo. And ceiling, they just want a hyphen here. So now when I come in here to southeast, which one? East wing corridor, which I don't have that one in here yet. I must not have added that room. But basically, you could go to, say, the southeast corner office like they did in here. You could pick this down arrow now and choose your stuff like this, for example. On this conference. So the options get built out, basically. So that's all that's going on there. And it shows you how to show and hide different areas on this within here. More advanced stuff if you want to maintain what you have in here. Here's that grand total option we selected in the previous box. It says grand total of rooms, total square footage. That's an option. It's nice. It summates them. So if you need that, that's why we picked that just recently. So we're just going to close this for now. It saves as we close it. I never did make a room for this. Let's make a room actually for a corridor. Interesting. Thought that was one I got, but failed to do it earlier. Adding a new room here. Give it a second, it's thinking. It's a unique shape, this corridor. And I think this one was called, what was it called? East Wing Corridor. So if you did your previous rooms correct, you wouldn't have to worry about this. But I missed one. And this room was, I believe, 001. Or 100. Okay. Okay. That was just something I caught in that schedule. Another good reason for schedules, you can see discrepancies like that quicker in a column form like Excel. So the last part, or one of the second to last parts on 680, we're going to go to adding a color fill plan. We're going to right click on level 1 and we're going to say, okay, duplicate view and duplicate with detailing. So it'll take a minute, it'll think, it has to duplicate exactly the view we had. And when it makes a new view, it's not going to make it dependent on like these ones. It's going to make it underneath. It'll take a second. And we're going to rename that view, double click it slow, to level 1 color plan. Okay, I'm going to hit double center click so it zooms all again. And we're going to do yet another new command here. We're going to go to Analyze tab, and we're going to go to the Color Fill Legend button, which is over here. It might look differently if I'm in a larger screen. Yours might look a lot closer to the picture on 681 if you have a smaller laptop screen. These icons will shrink depending on how big your screen is, if you haven't figured it out, I'm sure, in this distance in this book. Color Fill Scheme. And we're going to place it up here. It just says pick over here. We're going to get our rooms. We're going to say rooms are what the spaces we're looking at, not HVAC zone or just regular spaces. And we're going to say color scheme by name, I believe. Yes. Hit OK. It's going to populate. It's going to take a second. And we have a nice shaded color plan for this. We've got a room color plan, all beautiful looking here, and our scheme, kind of like a legend. They call it a scheme, but it really is a legend. It's even called a legend here. Populates with it, which is dynamic as well. So we can select this same legend, and this is a new command as well. We can say edit scheme. We can go in here and change anything we want. We're not going to do anything in this case. It's just showing you can change the visibility, the color, a different type of hatch or fill pattern as they call it. It'll be a green aluminum pattern. You can change how they look. We're just going to hit cancel. We're not going to save that. In this case, we will just hit save for this. We've gone a ways into this chapter. So we're going to move on to page 681, and we're going to add our first room separator. There's two ways to do this. You can physically draw a room without any walls, like in kind of a sketch mode, draw every one of them, or you can draw a line in the sand between the rooms and then edit it, which we're about to do. We're going to draw a line right here. So that's two different ways. And if we continue on to page 682 to the bottom on step 1, we're in now. Make sure you go back to just full level 1 floor plan. This is key. I almost missed this. So we're out of the color plan of all the rooms, this beautiful one we just made, and we're out of the level 1 east when we're applying all the tags just to this level 1 east. They're still applied in this view too, as you can see though, in regular level 1 in our visibility graphics. So we're going to go to the room and area tab, architecture tab, room and area, and we're going to go to a new area. We're going to go to room or new command. Just a little ahead of myself, I think. We're going to click the room button. We're going to add a new room here first. So this area that we haven't done yet. Give it a second. Still thinking. It's taking a while. Hit escape once. Okay, there it went. We got our last room. And we're going to go back to the room and area tab. Up here in the architecture tab. Go to room separator, which is a new command for us. And I didn't like the way they did this. I couldn't grab a pick line here. It said grab a pick line with this command. I was having no luck with this. So I drew a line. And I literally drew it. You could draw it here to here. But I wasn't really having success with that either. So let me hit enter, see if that takes. That didn't really do it. Okay, maybe it did. It did take that. Or you could draw it on this line and then later use the pick command, and then you could drag it with its grips over to here. So I just drew a 2-point line here to here. Now it took a minute. It separated it. And now I'm able to build the second room out. It did split them or separate them. So there's couple ways to do that. Now I got room 119, room 120. I'm just going to rename them to, let's see, kitchen, break room. So that's separating a room. Hover on it, check my work. Hover. Okay, here we go. I'm going on to page 684. We're going to do the last thing in this chapter. We're going to create an area plan. So this is yet another new area. We're going to go to the room and area panel on the architecture tab. We're still on level 1. And area, it doesn't really explain which one to make, but you only have one option really. This one's grayed out. So we're going to pick area plan button. Give it a second. And we're going to choose level 1 for our area plan. And we're going to choose gross building, not rentable. It doesn't say this very well. What it does, it shows us the wrong picture on page 685. So make sure you get gross building. And I think that box is fine to leave on. I'll hit OK. Say, I believe yes. Yeah, it does say yes on step 4. And now we're going to add an area boundary. So this doesn't have to be an exact closed sketch like sketch mode. This is a new area or a new command we haven't done yet. Here we'll add an area boundary. And basically we're going to pick 1, 2, and then 3, 4, exactly like the picture on 686. So it doesn't have to be an enclosed sketch that we're used to. It basically has this whole area. See how everything's highlighted kind of blue? It's the whole area of floor 1. We're going to split it out. I'm going to do my first pick. I'm going to use the line command. Pretty sure this was the right tool for the job on this one. Let's try it. I'm going to pick right here. First pick. Second pick right here. Hit escape, make a second separator line. So I got the first one made over here on this side of the corridor. Okay. Make the second one. This will be good right about here to here. Close enough. And hit escape. In the room and area panel, click the area button. So we're going to go back to architecture tab. Now we can go to the second area. We can create the area. We made the area plan, we split them. Now we can create the areas. And I think we can click one in each one. I'm going to do the west wing first, and then the corridor. Oh, I got doubles. Let's hit cancel. So I didn't split this area just right. Let's try to fix that. Let's hit escape a couple times. Go back to area boundary. Let me draw a line from here to here. Or let's select this line I already drew. I didn't want us to overlap them. I'm just checking my boundary. I don't think I drew it far enough. Let's drag it up. So I think it's good now. Let's just drag this way up here. Okay. I think I got it good now. There we go. Or I already have one there. Cancel. Let's add this new area. It didn't want me to add 2 in the corridor. So now I have 3 areas. It would not allow me to add it twice, which is kind of handy in a way. Hover that, move it, the move button. This is close enough. Your area should be somewhat close to this. So I have 3 areas now. Make sure you get the boundaries at least far enough on the north and the south. It didn't let me. It thought this whole thing was one area when I didn't have those lines drawn far enough, as you saw. I got this area right away. So that's probably one of the more challenging parts of the chapter, but not too bad. So let's rename this. I'm going to select it by, let's see, grabbing it like that. Let's do filter. I'm just going to uncheck all area tag. Or I probably could have used the tab button. Let me hover in here, make sure it's moved. Call this west wing. This one I'm going to call link. In this area, double click it slow, I'm going to call it east wing. Now one more new command here. We're going to go to the color fill panel on the annotate tab. So we're on the annotate tab, the color fill panel, which is over here, and we're going to do a color fill legend button right here. I'm going to place this similar to the last time I did a legend for the rooms. I'll place it up here, and we're going to pick a couple areas. What do they want for our options? I think it's the only options available really. Areas, gross building, and gross building area. We'll hit OK. They're all the same color. Okay. We're going to select them, or select the legend up here and say edit scheme. Say name, and now they're different colors as I switch to my name. I have 3 different colors because I segregated them by names instead of all the one area. So that's the end of chapter 14. A few different commands. You added rooms to the model quickly and easily, added separators, manipulated them. Then you added color schemes to those room plans, and then you created area plans, learned a little bit more about making schedules, and you updated the rooms and the room schedules after the fact.